Hello everyone, Travis here, and welcome back to another Mega Park episode here on SimFox. This is episode 26, I believe, of the series that has lasted over 2 years now. But anyway, this is actually the second video for me in like a week now, so I'm sure some of you are probably like freaking out, like another one? What? The goal, like I said, is to be a little bit more frequent with it. I will be on a break, YouTube break, in the end of this month into the first couple of weeks of January because of school, but then after that I should be able to be cranking out videos relatively frequently. Frequently for me, not necessarily like for some other YouTubers that are able to post like every day or something to that effect. I just don't have the time for that. But like I mentioned in the last video, I do want to maybe average about 15 to 20 videos a year. So that'll be maybe one every, I don't know, 15, 20 days or so. Which I think is pretty reasonable, and a lot of you guys are like interested in my content and like to see videos from me, and I was pretty regular, you know, a year and a half ago or so, until my school situation changed and all of that. So yeah. Anyway, what's happening in front of you on the screen? Let's focus. Sorry for all the ums and stutters. This is unscripted, as all of my videos usually are. But you know, I'm going into this one a little bit blinder than usual because I didn't have a chance to look over the footage in advance like I normally do. So anyway, what you're seeing me do here is make some changes to the entry plaza. So I had actual gates there before, which originally was fine with me, but now that I'm moving a little bit more in a realism direction, I'm wanting this to appear more like an actual, I guess, park entrance or park entry plaza, more or less. So basically what we're looking at here is this is whatever is connecting to wherever people park. I do have the parking area over by where the second entrance is, but the assumption is that there's like some sort of big parking garage or something near this front one that people will be either walking to the front gate from or taking a shuttle depending on how far away it is. The thing that you'll notice, and I showed this last episode, is that McDonald's building is gone off of the right side of the entrance area. I'm going to be redoing that today. I'm doing it in a facade style, so it'll have sort of like a bit of a showroom on the back, and then the front of the building will be facade style where, like, you know, I make it look like it's 3 or 4 different buildings or whatever. That's sort of a Disney way to go about it. And that's the way that stylistically I've been doing things lately. You'll see that there'll be a couple of kind of cuts in this video where I did some stuff off camera and came back. I was really struggling with the height of these buildings because of the building across the way. I'm wanting to keep that one because it's also the station for that coaster called Outrage, that white hyper coaster over there. And so I'm not wanting to come in and do a complete overhaul of the park, because then, you know, what's the point of all of the 2.5 years that we spent on it? But I am updating bits and pieces of it that really needed work, and this was one of the areas. So you're gonna see that I'm trying to blend my new style with the old. Still keep this in the spirit of being a mega park, but with a little bit more of an emphasis on realism. And so it's going to be kind of a weird place in the end, where you'll see some of the old jank and the old weird building style habits, and then you'll see some of my newer stuff. And you'll notice that even some of my newer stuff, I'm keeping it a little less detailed than like some of the challenge entries and things that I've worked on recently, like especially in Discord. If you want to see my most recent work, that's where you should be. The link to the description, the link to the Discord is in the description. and that's where you'll get the latest and greatest from me. But as far as YouTube goes, I haven't been doing as much, and so I'm wanting to sort of blend my new style with what I had done previously in this park to create sort of as much cohesion as possible. I will be submitting this for showcase hopefully later this year or early next year, and so I already know that some of the comments I'm going to get are like, oh, there's a lack of cohesion in your architecture and blah, 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 blah. Fine, whatever. You know, it is what it is. I am most decidedly expecting that, and that's okay. But at the same time, there are some areas of this park that just need to be redone, and so you'll see me struggle a little bit with that as we go along to like take out some of the older, like no custom scenery looking buildings and then replace them with newer, higher custom looking buildings, and deciding whether or not it should be a showroom with facades or like a full encompassing building kind of thing. Yeah, so that's where we're going with this. And I just like super talked the most time ever about that nonsensical little spiel. But yeah, so what you're seeing on the screen in front of you is me working on the facade there, or that right side of the main entry plaza. And you know, I like the way this building turns out. It's not like my favorite building that I've ever done, or, you know, set of facade buildings that I've ever done. But again, I'm trying to blend it in with what's already there. So, to be honest, I really should have overhauled this entire entry plaza. But I didn't want to do that in the spirit of what this park is to me, and what have you. Another sort of struggle I've been having with this park for a long time is that it uses pieces that the workbench in and of itself, I created custom for myself. For those of you who don't know, Workbench is just a way to describe a map with all of its scenery and ride options. So when you create a custom scenario or whatever to use for a sandbox park like this, that creation of that scenario is called a workbench. And so in the Roller Coaster Tycoon community, they have official workbenches made by certain people, and you know, or you could even make your own, but that's just what workbench means. Anyway, the workbench that I created for this park, you know, almost 3 years ago now, is not the same one that I use now. And while you would think that really doesn't make much of a difference, it actually really does. When you're using a workbench consistently, you get used to where all the pieces are located in the menus. You get used to having certain pieces that have been missing in this park for a while, and I've added them, but now they go in that little miscellaneous folder, which, you know, makes them kind of cluttered and a little hard to find sometimes. Luckily, we have the eyedrop tool to be able to select stuff that we've already placed and duplicated or whatever, which really does help. But so that's really causing me to have issues with like coming up with good, decent size and shape buildings, is because the detailing of it is a little bit hard to do. Anyway, but I'm getting more acquainted with this workbench as I play this park more and more. Like I said, the buildings are an improvement over what was there before, and I guess that's kind of the point, right? And this is a really big map, so I can't like get too obsessed with the fine detailing on this stuff, because otherwise I'm just gonna spend another 2.5 years perhaps on it, which I don't want to do. I'd like to have a finished product of this at some point so I can move on to something else, something that uses a workbench that I regularly use, or, you know, that can focus a little bit more on the details that I now build with. So, yeah. It's not to say that I don't like this park. I mean, this is still like my biggest undertaking of all time, and And even now I go through and I see things that I did a few months ago or even a year or more ago, and I think, man, like that's such a cool like way that I did that, you know, like and then like conversely to that, I see things that I'm like, whoa, why did I do it like that? That looks like, you know, absolute shit. But anyway, yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with this park right now. And I say that thinking like, oh, well, I'm going to finish eventually, or I'm going to finish quickly, and I hope that sticks. Like I said, I tend to be a pretty busy person, and my real life schedule doesn't often allow me to do much more, like, you know, outside of my responsibilities. And especially with Discord and stuff too, that takes a lot of my time because I help admin the server, and I help facilitate and run some of the contests and what have you, and that also takes a lot of time. But you know, I've decided recently that I'm wanting to put a lot more emphasis on YouTube, and I will be doing that, as you can see by this second episode, in a matter of like 7 or 8 days. So yeah, audio quality has been a little bit off for me lately, as well. Not recently, but like about a year ago, I moved into the house I'm currently living in, and I set up a nice office and stuff over here. But the problem was this room is a little bit bigger than the one I had at my other house, and so my microphone, the way that everything is laid out and what have you, has to be immediately like behind my monitors and pretty close to my tower, and so it creates a little bit of hum in the background, and you know, so that does cause some problems, and so I have to render the audio separate from the video, and so like editing takes a little bit longer and that sort of thing, and it gets a little frustrating sometimes. So if you've noticed maybe some awkward audio since, you know, I've moved, then that explains why. But I actually, for Black Friday, I went and bought a new computer, because while the one I had was fine 3 or 4 years ago when I bought it, you know, it was only entry-level spec-wise at that point in time, and so that translates to being like way behind the power curve now. So I got sort of a mid-range one that is across the board an improvement, and so that means that you can expect to hopefully see a couple of or like some more frequent Planet Coaster content from me as well. I know a lot of you aren't as much of a fan of that game. I like to watch Planet Coaster videos, probably more than Roller Coaster Tycoon videos now, but as far as playing the game, I prefer to play Roller Coaster Tycoon, so it's interesting, but you know, like I have some ideas for what to do, or like what to do in my Borderland Park, for example, which I had talked about several months ago, finishing and working on, and then I got into the park and my computer just could not handle it. I made that park way too big. So I, at least for the purposes of recording it, it just was real crappy. I can still play in there. It's just like FPS goes real low and it gets laggy and buggy, and especially when I'm trying to record it, you know, OBS takes up a little bit of the processing power and whatever as well, and so it slows everything down. But with my new computer, that should not be a problem, because I will be way higher, or like I will supersede the minimum specs by quite a bit. My other computer was basically what the minimum was for that game, so it was already like not a great setup, you know, from day one. But yeah, so with that said, that monitor and setup is a little bit different than the one I have now, so my microphone can actually be like directly in front of me, and I don't have to lean in all awkwardly, and it won't hopefully pick up as much hum from the room around me, and yeah, so maybe I can not spend so much time rendering audio and just record directly into the editing software. But we'll see how that goes. But I'm excited about that. I'll be setting up that computer this weekend, so you know, hopefully that'll make me nice and motivated to get to work on some Roller Coaster Tycoon content for you, specifically the Mega Park, because I'm trying to finish that up. And yeah, we have a holiday challenge going on right now. I think there's about 10 days left on that, so maybe I'll do an entry for that. I don't think so. I have way too much else going on. But if you want to join that challenge, the link to the Discord is in the description. If you don't have Discord, it's really easy to join. It doesn't cost anything. It's an opportunity for you to get to know me and some of the people in the community and get plugged into like challenges and games. And even if you like stats and that sort of thing, we have games relating to that. And just the general like discussion, you know, join us in the chat channels and get plugged in. But yeah, enough about that, because I probably said that like three or four times already, so I'm sorry to keep pushing that. But Discord is kind of like the thing outside of my normal life that takes up the most time for me these days, so that's why I keep mentioning it. But anyways, yeah, so what you see me doing right now is still the same stuff I was doing before. I'm sprucing up some of the planters and things. So here we just cut to like the finished product of that side building with the facades and everything. Again, I mentioned earlier I was having a hard time getting the height to look good with the other side that I'm keeping. It still doesn't look great. Like, they don't look like exactly cohesive, but it is a lot better. And now I am updating this this entrance. I'm putting the same sort of overhang, like trellis type thing that I put on the new far side of that facade, and I'm going to update the landscaping a little bit here, add some rocks and whatever. My landscaping in this park before wasn't horrible, but it wasn't entirely realistic. But again, that wasn't what I was going for before, so now that I'm pushing more towards realism, I'm going to do a little bit more with the foliage. Still not going to be like the industry standard, this is perfect foliage. I don't ever get those comments anyway. Everybody's always like, your foliage is weird. But whatever, I don't care. I'm having fun playing my favorite game, so people are going to say what they're going to say, and I'm just in this for fun. And I think I've gotten pretty good at this game either way, so suck it. No, I'm just kidding. It's a great community. Everybody's real supportive, and like I said, I've improved so much just by getting plugged in through Discord. But yeah, I think I'm near the end now. I believe I'm going to show you a little bit of a walkthrough now of the park. So the big thing that I'm going to be making adjustments to, I added a lazy river ride in. I'm going to be removing this slide tower. It's just for looks at this point, and so are those other central slides. I'm not going to be doing anything with the central ones because I like the way they look, but I wanted to have another ride in there, another couple of rides actually, that are actually rideable, because that area only has like 2 or 3 things that people can ride at the moment, and it kind of is a waste of space in that regard. But yeah, so this is the finished entry plaza, or more or less. I'll probably continue to add some details as we go along, but I want to thank you all for watching, and give this video a thumbs up if you like what you see, subscribe if you haven't already, leave me a comment down below letting me know that you're watching, and with that said, you all have a great morning, afternoon, evening, night, etc., wherever you are in the world, and I will see you all next time.